Hello.
Right. Hello, Jesse. You. Hello.
Sorry, she's
Hello.
photobombing.
No, I think that's super funny. Hi. Hello. It'll make for a good little moment. Look at those ears. Look like Dobby ears. Angel. 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 Hello. Hello, Angel.
She's looking at it.
Hi, Angel. Angel. Buff, buff, buff. Angel. Buff, 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 buff. Buff, buff, buff. Buff, 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 buff. She could totally hear me. Woof, woof, woof. Woof, woof, woof. Can you hear me, Angel? So again, this is the top 10 times that I have injured myself. They're in the order of like the most dramatic fall. I will say that one of them is a little further down on the like it's not my like top 10, but it was the worst injury. So like I had to have surgery. So they're not based on how badly I got injured. They're based on the most dramatic fall and the circumstances and how funny the fall is.
Okay.
So that's the like the way I ordered them because clearly me being in a hospital for a week and bedridden for 6 months and in a wheelchair at college would probably be number, the worst one if we were just going on injuries. But so statistics, overall statistics. So cuts, just cutting myself. Okay. I got on my shin one that I almost could have needed stitches, calf once, and I bit through my lip, and I have a massive scar on my lip because I bit through my lip. Breaks and sprains, ribs 5 times, sprained or broken a rib, ankle once, wrist once, knee dislocated once, shoulder sprained once, and lower back or hip joint, like my butt, like the butt joint once. You're like, wow, you're just a walking disaster, aren't you?
You're-
So I'm gonna start with the least, crazy scenario that are just funny ways to get hurt, but they're not really intense. So, number one is just such a stupid reason to hurt myself. I was literally sitting in the lobby at my school and I was sitting, like in like doctor's office chairs. They're like cushion chairs and they have like armrests right here, right? So I was just sitting and drop a ball. It's like a little bouncy ball, and it dropped right next to my armrest. And I literally lean over the armrest, like lean over like this to get it. And the armrest, because I have a big butt, so the armrest was kind of cutting into my side. So I had to reach over it, but it was digging into my rib cage. And no joke, I dislocated a rib because I leaned over and it poked into my rib. I had to go to a chiropractor and have them push it back in.
That's wild.
I know. I find really funny ways to get injured. These. So, okay, so number two. So I was taking a shower, shaving like women do, and
That's women.
I slipped and I like
Hey,
majorly
come here.
dug in, dug in with the razor. And
Mm,
it was such a bad one. I like peeled my skin out of the razor. It was a really bad one. And weeks later, a friend of mine that's a nurse told me that I probably should have gotten stitches. And because it was so deep, it never really healed correctly. So even to this day, if it gets like sun or if it gets dry, it like gets these weird extra layers of like skull tissue on it and these weird like growths on it because I think it's like so deep and such a weird crevice in my leg. Have you heard those two?
yes. I
Okay. So
remember seeing the scar on your shin.
seeing the skull, yeah. And you
Yeah.
being like, where did you get that? That's such a deep one.
Well, I remember thinking to myself that it was weird looking. It's
Yeah.
like a weird angle. It's like wide.
Well, yeah, it's because the whole razor went into it.
Yeah.
So then the third one is when I left the movies and I was wearing Velcro sandals. And this was probably one of the worst injuries, but I broke my wrist. I face planted on the sidewalk. The shoe unvelcroed and fell off, and I face
Oh,
planted on the sidewalk. I went to the hospital, and they were super obnoxious. They wouldn't. set my wrist that day because insurance wasn't like getting back to them about paying for it. So they literally gave me just like bandages without setting my wrists. And so
Is
then
this
a
the one
couple
where
of
they had to re-break it?
Yes. And then
Oh,
I went, so if you've seen Saw movies, okay, the most recent Saw movie, Spiral, think the one where the woman's hands are stuck in the Chinese finger traps, like, and they like pull joints off. Like, my hand was stuck in a Chinese finger trap machine and it was like hanging, and they put a weight on it to like pull my bones down. And they had to re-break my wrist because insurance made me wait, and the wrist was starting to set and they had to re-break it.
I don't think you ever really went into detail before
Yeah,
with me.
so think like it was, I told them it was really funny. They were not expecting that response. I'm like, this reminds me of a very particular scene in a Saw movie. And they were like, what? So that was an intense one just because of what happened, because insurance is, you know, assholes, and made me wait like a week before I was able to. And then I remember texting my boss and being like, so I can't type as fast. So I was doing curriculum work at the time. I'm like, so it might take me a few extra days to type up all of my reports. She's like, wait, what, why? Like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, like I broke my wrist. She's like, wait, what? Like, do you need to take a day off? And I was like, no, it's cool. Like, just totally nonchalant about it. She's like, but you broke your wrist. I'm like, oh, I injure myself all the time. This is nothing. And she's like, what? Oh, the next one. Okay. Um, fourth from the bottom, right? So now we're like midway, like kind of bad, kind of dramatic. But this involves you, Jesse. Jesse was
Oh,
helping me something. I don't even remember what you were doing. You were like moving. I think you were like fixing those cinder blocks under my table that's holding the table up or
oh.
something, but you were under my table. And I was holding it up because you were like, I have to crunch too much, like I can't see what I'm doing, can you hold it up a couple inches so I can like sit up a little? And so I was like, cool. So I held it up, but wasn't holding it right, and I threw my back out. Like, it was really, really, really painful. And not only that, I almost killed Jesse because I dropped the table on his head.
I I felt like I dislocated my neck when you did that.
Yeah, I felt so bad. I was like trying to pick up the table so you could get out, but at that point I was in so much pain I like couldn't move. I had to walk around. I was trying to like walk it off. And then I thought I just like pulled something, but like a couple days later you left and I had to take a flight home to Boston, and it was really, really, really
No.
painful.
Hey,
I couldn't, I remember the first couple days in Boston, I couldn't even reach down to grab something. Like, I'd drop like a pencil and I'd be like, can someone get it? I was like hurting to just like, what ended up happening, according to the chiropractor, I pulled the muscle that connects your butt muscle to your hip, like the tendon or the muscle or whatever. I don't know medical terminology. So I think I'm just always going to have a bad hip because of that.
do you know,
Apologies again.
do you
I
know,
know.
have I ever told you that now, so I've always cracked my neck a lot for like my whole
Mm.
life, but like that. I'll get like one or two snaps each way. But now, ever since that table thing, when I go to the right, I get like four or five cracks.
Yeah. I apologize. I screwed up your neck.
Well, I saw stars for a
Oh,
second, for sure.
so yeah.
Yeah.
So I have a tie for fifth place because they're both face planting incidents. And I couldn't decide which one I wanted to keep, and I already had 10. So I was like, okay, I have to choose one, but I was like, whatever, I'll just have them tie for fifth place. The first one happened at church when I was doing a reading with a group of my friends, and we got there early. Thankfully, it wasn't in the middle of service. We got there like an hour early to practice doing the reading. It was with a group I was part of, and we were going to do the reading that day. And I had flip-flops on,
You should just
probably
not
because of
wear
me. I
sandals.
know, right? But my flip-flops, so they have these big blocks that I'll put on top of each other, and one of them had obviously moved. And so there was like a tiny, like this, like you would think not that big of a deal. The gap was like the width of my finger. Like, it was not, but somehow my sandal slid into the gap, like my flip flop. And so I went to step off the stage and my foot didn't move. So I just down, I literally like face planted off the stage onto the ground. Minister and like a bunch of people
Kevin.
helping doing it. Like, they're like, "Are you okay?" And I was more just embarrassed and like just very sore. And again, this was one of the times I didn't break a rib. I bruised a rib. So that was the first face plant. Well, of these. There's another face plant story too, but it's more dramatic. So I thought it deserved its own number. The second of sort of the normal face plants, if because was the one at school. And this one I actually um so I broke a rib. These are very far apart, so these are like years apart. I broke a rib and I sprained my knee. This was when and actually broke a laptop because I had just gotten they would fix something and the doors were heavy, so we had door stops. And so somehow the door stop had slid out, and so the door had closed. So I go to open the door, but the door stop is in the middle of the like door frame, like it's just sitting in the middle. And I stepped on it, and it like slid, and I flew into the room. Now, mind you, I share the room with three other teachers. Two of them were in the room, and so I literally like they see me walk into the room, and then suddenly I like Superman fly across the room and face plant on the ground. And I was also wearing a dress, so I'm really hoping that I didn't flash them when that happened. But yeah, I face planted, and because I was holding my laptop, I had just been to the tech department. I threw my laptop across the room, and it like split open. Okay, so number six, um, I'm gonna be a little vague with this one because it's really embarrassing. I was in my bathroom. I think I told you this one. And I like really had to go to the bathroom. So I like ran into the bathroom. And I don't know if like someone had walked out of the shower and there was water on the ground, or if like one of my roommates, I have roommates with guys, so if they had like peed on the ground, but there was liquid all over in front of the sink and the toilet. So and I slid on it like because I ran in, like I really had to go to the bathroom. So I ran in because my roommate had been in there. I think they were taking a shower. So I'm hoping it was just shower water, but it was wet. So I run in, I miss on my feet slide, okay? And I slide and kind of grab the wall and then like fall into like the wall behind the toilet. And um by trying to like grab the wall, and I tried to grab like the sink, and when I went down, like I grabbed the sink like this, and so I tore something in my shoulder. So I still to this day have a bad shoulder because I don't think it healed right. And so I tore something in my shoulder. Like my shoulder was killing me for months after that. And so not only that, I then fell and I retwisted the knee. This was actually like a week after the face plant at school. So I was already suffering from a twisted knee. I retwisted that knee. So that just made it 100 times worse. And then the worst part was I was like, okay, catch my breath. I was sitting on the ground, like, what just happened, kind of dazed, not really knowing what happened. And I suddenly, like, I'm like, oh man. And I feel my face, and my hand is like covered in blood. And I'm like, what did I hit? Like, thinking I hit my nose. I'm like, what did I hit? And I just feel like blood on my hands. So, mind you, now I'm afraid to stand up because there's water. So I'm like, I'm going to kill myself. Like, how am I going to stand up? Finally managed to stand up. I look in the mirror, and I had a hole, full out hole in my lip because when I fell, I had probably gone like this, mm, and I bit a hole into my lip. So
Yeah.
I have actually down here, I don't know if you won't be able to see it here, but I have an actual really big scar under my lip that's like the shape of the corner of my tooth. And then I had to go to school with what looked like a really gnarly scab on my face. Once I got it to stop bleeding because it was like a school day. So I was not very happy that day. I was in pain. My lip kept bleeding randomly. I had to like go to the bathroom and try to, yeah, that was an interesting day at school. Hi again. My computer completely died. Um, I thought I had charged it all night, but apparently Zoom eats the battery really quickly. So we're in the four top ones. Okay. So fourth from the top, fourth place. This the result of this one was me being bedridden for 2 months during the summer. It happened the summer before my sophomore year in college, and then I was in a wheelchair going to school in the city for an entire semester.
Yeah, I recall asking about this one because I saw the gnarly scar at the pool when I first met you.
Was hanging
Maybe like
out.
a Frankenstein
What?
scar.
Yeah, my sister calls it the Franken angle.
Yeah, rightfully so.
But okay, so I was hanging out with so I had a friend group that we called the Dream Team. I was hanging out with my friend Andy, a member of the Dream Team, and two guys that were in it, Adam and his twin brother Greg, were on their way. They were driving, they were literally like 2 minutes away. And so I was like, Andy, let's scare them. When they pull into the driveway, let's hide in a bush and jump out at them and scare the crap out of them. And she's like, yeah, like why, but whatever. And so we were sitting on the front stoop. It had rained previous, but it wasn't raining then, but the stoop was wet. Okay. So I go to run down the stairs. Okay. I trip over a hose. Prior to it raining, my mom had been watering the front lawn. So I trip over the hose. I go to grab the handles that are wet. So my hands slide down the handles. Okay. So now I'm stumbling over the hose. I literally somersault down the stairs, face plant. Okay. But I had landed on my ankle. My ankle was like reverse position. My foot was like reverse position. And my ankle pretty much was exploded. And my parents had to call an ambulance. And like Andy's calling the guys, like Lexi just fell down the stairs and broke her foot. And they, like, as they're coming into the driveway, they see me like face planted on the ground. And like, they're like, what happened? And I'm like, I was embarrassed to tell them, like, I was trying to scare you and I fell.
Seems like a very you thing to do, though.
Yeah. And so I got rushed to the hospital, and I was literally in the hospital for like a week because my foot was so swollen. They couldn't do the surgery to fix my ankle because the swelling had to go down. There was too much fluid around my ankle. So they had to wait for the swelling to go down. And so I was in the hospital for a few days before they could even do the surgery. And then I had to, because I had other medical conditions that they had to monitor. So then after the surgery, I had to stay in the hospital for another few days. So I was in the hospital for a week. And then because I have no balance, I couldn't really do crutches. I would have fallen. So they had me in a wheelchair and I couldn't go upstairs because I have no strength to carry myself up the stairs. So my parents set up a hospital bed in the family room downstairs. And so I spent the rest of the summer, so like I don't know, like 6 weeks, in a hospital bed downstairs or in a wheelchair. And then I went to school, and they were actually super nice about it. We met with the like disability office, so they like were very accommodating. But it was still, going to school in a wheelchair in a city that's like really old and has like cobblestone streets and brick sidewalks. Not the easiest to get around in a wheelchair. Did you know that whole story?
No, actually. I think you left out the fact that you were trying to scare someone.
Oh, yeah, it's kind of an embarrassing tidbit. But it's also a very me thing to do. Third
Well, I
place, the parade float incident. Have you heard this story?
think so.
So, okay, the resulting injury was this is your calf. The skull went across my entire calf. So I was probably like 8 or 10. I can't remember if it was either in Cancun, Mexico, or Punta Cana, Dominican Republic. So they decided for the Independence Day, they decided to have a parade, and each hotel could have a theme for their float, and you could sign up to be involved in the parade float. So my parents let me do it, right? It was a gated community, so it's like it was safe for me to just wander around. So they let me do it. We get set up. It's a Star Wars theme. My hotel chose
Fair.
to do. They give me what I think looks like a graduation robe, like a black robe, and they give me a mask like the king of the gun guns. You know, like that toad guy that goes boom.
Mm.
That guy, yeah. I had a like my entire face was hidden and I was wearing a black robe. So my parents couldn't even tell it was me. I don't know why they gave an 8-year-old that costume. But anyways, that was the costume they gave me. And we're on the parade route. We're like, whatever, all coming to a stop along where like, so people can come up and take photos with the parade floats and stuff and kind of getting themselves organized. And they go, okay, like in a second, we're gonna get off. So I like kind of head towards the end of the parade float and we go over a speed bump and I like fall forward and topple off the parade float. Like full out, just like fall off the parade float, like ah, and like somersault off the parade float, dressed like the king of the gun guns, slash open my calf. I have a massive skull on the back of one of my calves from this, like across the entire calf. Like, and I didn't even know I had cut myself. When I got home, my dad was like, "Why is the entire back of your leg steeped in blood?" And the worst part of it was obviously it was kind of traumatizing. I got the wind knocked out of me. I was like, I just want to go home. And then I get back to the hotel room and my dad's like, why are you covered in blood?
I
Um,
think I knew you fell off a float, but I don't know. I didn't know the detail.
I think I just always kind of was like, yeah, I fell off a float, but never really went into details because it was kind of, again, like the other one, kind of like embarrassing details. So I just never really went into it.
I
But
feel like your sunburn should be on this list
don't we do another honorary mention and we can mention the sunburn because I
because
that was an injury. Even though
that
I
was a
didn't like
bad
fall,
sunburn.
that was an injury.
That was a bad, bad burn.
So we went to La Piedra Beach. It was you, Chris, and I. And we went and we all actually put on sunscreen. It said it was waterproof. So in our minds, we were like, cool. It's not going to come off with sweat. It's not going to come off swimming. So we put it on. We trekked down that because, you have to go down that valley. So there's like 100 million stairs. And at that point, we didn't go down the side of the cliff. There was a ladder to climb down to the beach.
Yeah.
So, it's literally walking down a valley and then climbing down a ladder to get to this hidden beach. And so, of course, we're all sweaty at that point. And then we decide to go swimming to not be sweaty. And then we decide to lie on blankets. And then we fell asleep. And we probably fell asleep for like an hour. And then we woke up and we didn't realize how burnt we were at first. Like, I didn't think I was that burnt.
I didn't either. I didn't realize until we had left. Well, for me,
Stopped to
I
get
realized that my pants felt really weird on my skin. And I was like, why do they feel that way?
the AC felt very tingly on my skin. And when I felt my skin, it felt hot. And so I was like, well, that's weird. Like maybe I was just really like my body temperature went up, and that's why the AC feels so much colder. I didn't notice until I then got home and took off my clothes and saw the difference. I was like, if you literally take a tomato and hold it next to my skin, that was like the color difference.
Yeah.
I think that was like Friday or Saturday. And then literally the following Monday, I was starting a job at Starbucks.
Yeah.
And I had to wear a uniform and I couldn't be like itching my back. But at that point, Sunday night, my back started molting.
Molting.
Well, it was literally molting. Pretty much my entire back molted off of me.
Yeah. You have
Um,
scars.
And so I was so miserable, aside from the fact that I hated that job and it made me want to cry. I was miserable anyways because I was so itchy, but I had no way to scratch my back. And I
And
actually have permanent when I came home Sunday night and then when I came home from work on Monday, I actually now have permanent scars across my back because do you remember what I ended up using to scratch my back? And
didn't
I
you
actually
like,
sliced my back open.
I think you like, yeah, I think you used your AC, didn't you?
No, it was a heater. The
A
heater
heater?
wasn't on, but like the heaters, really old school. It was like 1920s building. The heaters have like those vents that open. I opened the vents and like a freaking bear went like this. up and down across the vents, and I actually sliced my back. Chris literally looked at my back, was like, "Your back is bleeding."
I couldn't
Yeah.
wear pants for like a week.
Chris was scary, but he was wearing Crocs.
Yeah.
And so
I
his
remember the tops of his feet swelled up and started to like leak pus.
well, yeah, so what ended up happening was when he took his Crocs off, the holes in Crocs, the
Hmm.
holes burnt. But he got so burnt because his issue was that we had some suntan lotion on. He didn't think the suntan lotion his feet because he was wearing shoes.
Yeah.
So he didn't put any suntan lotion on his feet. So when he took his feet out, first of all, they wouldn't come off. They were so swollen he had to like fight the shoes off. Then when he finally took them off, because he didn't have any suntan lotion on, those holes, you could see the pattern of the holes of the Crocs. Each of the hole got sunburned, and they were so sunburned, they were third-degree burns. He had blisters the shape of those holes that eventually, when they started peeling, they were pussing all over the place.
Yeah, I remember that. That was nasty.
Honorary mention, I guess that is a good one too. Second place, okay, um, is the Venice Beach incidents. A friend of mine from church, Ellen, had been saying that she wanted to go to Venice Beach. For context, Ellen's a little older than me. I don't know, I think she's like 20 years older than me or something. Just because it's important later, we had two missions. To get fish tacos, that was my mission. And she had heard about this drink that was like this retro drink. It's called the Pisco Sour, that apparently was big in like the 60s. That I guess at Venice Beach, it suddenly had like people thought it was really cool and retro, and they were starting to drink them again. So we start walking around, we're looking. I buy, that tan hat that I bought. Um, I got that. So we're walking around. We get our fish tacos. We go to find a seat because we're like, we should eat before we drink. So we get fish tacos. I get a smoothie and a few fish tacos. And we're walking. Again, I'm wearing flip-flops. Should never wear flip-flops. A homeless man, he ran into me with his suitcase. And it's one thing to just like bump into someone and stumble. Maybe I would have dropped my food or whatever, but my flip-flop, of course, because this apparently happens to me all the time, got stuck in the wheel of his suitcase. Like it like sucked it into the wheel of the suitcase. So like imagine like I did like a pirouette and the smoothie was like in spirals around me. And then everyone around me, rushed to help me, and like they got me up and got me on a seat. And then Ellen felt bad, so she's like, "Here, like you take my fish tacos. I'm gonna go get some more fish tacos. Like I don't want you not to go, to go without fish tacos." So she got herself more fish tacos. We finish eating, and then she's like, "I know what'll make us feel better about this whole incident. Let's go get those drinks
Oh God.
and drink away our sorrows." She like that was her mission. She wanted this drink that apparently was like popular in Venice Beach. And so we get one
Alcohol is never the answer, by the way.
so we get a bunch of them. I'm like tipsy because, I like would drink back then, not like issues with drinking, but like I would drink normally. So I had a decent tolerance. She had like zero tolerance. So I think I had two or three. She had like one or two. So she even had less than me. But she pretty much immediately got drunk. Goofy, smiling, like happy, like, tipsy drunk. And so obviously at that point, I'm like, well, we can't leave for several hours now. So let's go find a spot on the beach in the shade. So we find a palm tree on the beach. She falls asleep next to me. Literally passes out under a palm tree in Venice Beach. The day just keeps getting worse and worse. So I call my dad. He is also drunk, hanging out with friends. So, two drunk people don't have the best communication skills. So I'm like telling him this story about how this drunk guy hit me with a suitcase. Dad just turns around and goes, "Some homeless guy attacked her and she broke her rib."
Good
Because
God.
I did bruise my rib, right? So I was kind of like telling him that I was sore. And my mom's like, "What do you mean she got attacked?" I'm like, "Dad, that's not what I said." So then I had to retell the story to my mom. So then they had to go because they were hanging out with friends. So I decided to take photos. And so I'm taking selfies and I'm like taking photos of like the fun stuff on the beach. And I take a selfie of like kind of looking down at me. And so the palm trees behind me. And I send it to the group text. And all of a sudden somebody is like, who is that sleeping next to you? And I realized that in the bottom corner of the photo, you could see Ellen passed out on the beach next to me.
Yeah.
And Ellen did not appreciate that because she had never met my parents at that point.
You can just like kind of see an unconscious face in the corner of the photo, and I think I was
I
the
know.
person
Everyone was like, who is that
that was
passed
like,
out
who
next
is
to
that?
you?
Yeah, that was really funny.
Now, maybe like 2, 3 hours later, I'm like completely fine. I'm not even tipsy. I'm like actually maybe a little hungover just from not having had alcohol in a while. Like I have a headache and whatever, but I'm fine. I'm like no issues. She's not drunk, but she's like, oh, I don't feel good. I think she maybe is like really hungover, maybe still drunk. I don't know. But so I like help her to my car. I put her in my car. We're about to get on the highway. We're literally like about to turn on to like the on ramp, and she suddenly goes like this and she's like, pull over, pull over. So I pull her into like a random parking lot, and she grabs a plastic bag that's like in front of her that I think I had put my sandy shoes in. So she reaches in, grabs my shoes out, sending sand everywhere. So now there's sand everywhere because she just grabbed the first bag she saw and she starts puking into the bag. So now everything is covered in sand. The car smells like puke. We finally happened to pass a parking lot that had a dumpster, so she got out and threw the bag away. So at least like then I could Febreze it a little bit and it didn't smell like puke. But
Yeah,
yeah, then we drove home and she
I
slept
really
the rest of the
puke.
day. The craziest thing is that was not even the craziest story. That's number two. I think you know what number one is, so you can help me tell this story.
Okay.
So number one is when we almost died from falling off of a mountain.
Mm,
It was not even the worst injury. I only broke a rib, which I know sounds like a lot to most people, but with the other injuries I've gotten, not the worst injury at all. I've broken or bruised my rib 5 times that I can even remember, probably more. But we had this hiking trail that we went on in Griffith Park. We would park at the top, we'd take the easy flat routes down, and then we'd walk around the mountain and sort of climb, go, and they were all the normal hiking routes. Prior to this experience, we would go up the mountain on the regular hiking routes back to where we parked. Okay, that was like a normal hiking route. We turned off the path once because I had to pee. We're like, let's go up this a little bit. We can find a bush to pee behind. That was why we originally went up there.
which that tree then became
The peak,
known as the pea tree.
it looked like a path, but it wasn't actually a walking path. So that should probably have been a hint that it was dangerous, but it wasn't.
Being the
It,
adventurous idiots that we are,
yeah. So we keep going back and back and trying to like get better times and see how fast we can do it. And we become obsessed with this path. And so we did it with many things. We did it with Alice, where I folded in her face. That was another fun
you
time. Of
should.
you taking the photo and Chris on the phone below me. Neither of you paying attention to the fact that I'm falling.
That is a really funny one.
You could have helped me, but you chose to take a photo of me falling.
I figured taking a photo would be the more appropriate action.
But so one of the times my sister visits and she wants to go, she's like, I want to do a hike. Like I've heard hikes are awesome in LA. So we don't tell her what kind of hike this is, but we're like, we'll take you on our favorite hike. So we get there. It starts off fine. We're doing the, paved paths and whatever. She sees horses. Oh, this is so beautiful, whatever. We get to this one part where you literally have to climb up the side of a mountain. Okay. And like use trees to like pull yourself up, and there's sand. So you're sliding down the parts with the sand. If you don't run fast enough, your feet just slide down the sand. So you have to like book it up the sandy parts. And like then you perch on these a few different like flat areas. And so she's already freaking out. She calls her then boyfriend, now fiance, at work, freaking out. Oh my God, I'm gonna die. Like, I don't know what's happening. I'm gonna fall off the mountain. Ironically, she wasn't the one that fell off the mountain. So you finally get her perched at a flat area just below the top of it, right? So she's safe. Okay. Then you come down to help me because I don't have any balance either. And we're at the section where there's a dip in the mountain. And you can climb down and climb back up, but that would add a lot of time. There's a tree that normally we would grab the tree branch and swing over the hole and like land on the other side of the hole. And it's always worked. It's never, most people are like, "Oh my God, the tree branch snapped." And like it's never snapped. Like it's always held our weight. So we assumed it would. And
Oh, it was more like a root.
well, yeah, that's the thing is if anything, we would have maybe thought the branch would snap one day. But for context, we had been in a drought, and the drought changes erosion patterns and dirt. So we swing across this branch, the whole entire tree uproots. Okay, like I'm talking the entire tree, like all the branches uproot. So we go swinging through the air. Now, mind you, you were holding on to me. So we go swinging through the air. I fall. I'm wrapped around you. You like to say I rode you down the hill like a surfboard. So
True.
I'm wrapped around you. The tree's cascading down behind us. So we're like, the tree's gonna hit us. The tree's gonna push us off the mountain. Ness is at the top going, oh shit, my sister's gonna die. So in and I'm like laughing, you're like laughing. I'm like, wee, like what's happening? Like not even realizing what's happening. But I suddenly see the tree. So like freaking Tarzan, I grab some long grasses and like swing us to the side. So now we're hanging on the side of the mountain. The tree cascades past us, falls down. You can hear it crash like 100 feet below because it was a cliff. And my sister's like can't see us at that moment because we're sort of like hanging over a cliff. So she's like, "Oh, you okay down there?" And she's like, "What the fuck? What happened?" Like, "Oh my God, my sister's dead." Like I can hear her like freaking out like, "Do I call someone? Like we need a helicopter. My sister just fell off a mountain." And so finally she sees us crawling up. We're like sitting on a rock laughing.
Um,
Um
I thought we were gonna die for sure.
What's funny is when it was happening, I didn't think we were gonna die because
Oh, I did. I was laughing in a that was a hysterical laugh on my part because
I just like I didn't it didn't make
I
me
don't know.
that I was gonna die in the moment.
You may have started laughing because I started laughing or something, but like my laugh was like a oh shit, I'm gonna die type
Yeah.
laugh. Because when I heard the tree hit the ground like 50 plus feet below us, I was I started to imagine that being my head.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't even know. Like I'm not usually one to say that I have fast reflexes, so I don't know what reflexes I suddenly mustered up in that moment to like grab the grass and literally fling us to the side. But if I hadn't done that,
Oh.
we would have just felt like flown off the mountain. But the worst part of it was after seeing me almost fall off the mountain. You remember the next part of the trail that we had to take her on. We lied and said that that was the worst part. She's like, "It's
Yeah.
easy from here on out, right?" And we were like, "Yeah, definitely." And you remember the next part of the trail.
That little tiny,
That's what, maybe 12 inches of like sand.
if that.
You literally have to scale the mountain like this and like walk like inch by inch, scaling the mountain. And considering that she had just seen us almost fall off the mountain, now she had to scale the mountain. And I remember her specifically being like, "Oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit," the whole way. And then at the end, I thought the funniest part was at the end, we were just done. Like, we were like, and I started to like get an asthma attack. And I was like, I don't really have the energy to get up because the last part, there's a pretty steep hill to the top where the fence is. And I didn't really have the energy. Like I was like dying. I was having an asthma attack but I was just like fuck this. I need to finish this. And so you got to the top. You get my sister to the top. She's sitting there like, "Oh my God, I almost died again." So you're like, "Okay, like I'll help you. Like let me find something. I can give you like a stick or something you can like grab on and I'll just like pull you up." And you find what you think is a small piece of wood, but it turns out to be like an 8 foot
Oh, it
like
was longer
eight
than
foot
eight
pole.
feet.
It was
That was
like
like that was like 10 feet at least.
Yeah, and so you just like put it down. You're like, just climb up this. And the funniest part was as you were doing that, a group of guys stopped to like get water and take selfies and stuff and suddenly saw us there and they thought we were like stuck. So they're like, do you need help? And you're like, no, she's good. And you put the thing down and I remember one of them being like, she's like Spider Woman. Like she because I just was like, get me out of here. And I just like climbed that pole like a spider. Like I just was like, I am so done. Like and then I sat on the top and then I had a full out huge ass asthma attack right in front of them. And they were like, oh my God, is she okay? And I'm like, I'm good. Like as I'm like dying. Thank you for doing the top 10 of crazy ways Lexi's injured herself. Most people probably have not heard all of those stories, which is why I thought it was really funny to do those stories. So thank you for watching. Thank you for helping me with this, Jesse. We're gonna do the closing thought. Last for the last episode, I had ramen and one of the foods I ate. So I did a Japanese inspired closing thought, and I talked about the idea of kintsugi. Do you know what kintsugi is? Okay, so for others who don't remember my episode last week and who don't know what kintsugi kintsugi is a Japanese art form. Um, you can use this infographic. Kitsugi essentially is, as you can see in the infographic, it's broken pottery or, different types of art form that they put together. In ancient times, they used like gold and other really expensive stuff, so it was literally worth more. But even the idea that, broken pieces can be fit together to be better than the original. And they use the metaphor of like when you go through life and life kind of beats you down and breaks you, when you put yourself back together your life means more, right? It has more meaning, it has more value. As the final closing thought, I wrote a poem, a haiku poem about sort of like the human experience being like Kitsugi. So I'm going to read the poem. This is the closing thought. Okay. It's written in haiku, which is a form of Japanese poetry. It's based on the human experience being like Kitsugi, and it's inspired the tone and sort of the style is inspired by Basho, who's my favorite poet. He's a 17th century Japanese poet who wrote in haiku. So that's sort of what it's inspired by. Um, okay. So barely there, glass, deceptively strong, sturdy, reflecting the world. One rock shadows grace, shadows it into pieces, hundreds of pieces. One moment, eons, the loud echo of silence, time, waiting, watching. Out of misery comes something unexpected, comes a saving grace. Piece by piece, fit together, imperfect, better than before, fragile, scarred, from ashes came its true form. Thank you for watching.
That's
Like and
cool.
subscribe. Thank you.